There we go. Let me check. Right, and that was it. Okay. Fantastic. So, today, as I said before, we're going to start with species of counterpoint, in which we're going to learn, yeah, from simplicity to complexity, how to manage the voice leading. Yes, it is. I cannot see you. It disappears. There she went.
Hello, yes, sorry, there was knocking the door and the microphone. Sorry, I didn't want to the camera like.
And voila, you appeared. There you go. So I was saying that the species of counterpoint is an amazing technique for composition. Yes, it's a proper study of voice leading. Yes, we do it in harmony, but counterpoint is a technique that brings independent voices together. Yeah. Let's start. Tell me if you see or if you don't see. Yeah. Good. So we're going to start with two parts. Yes, two voices. But in this case, they're going to be independent lines. Yes, four melodic lines is nothing but actually a chorale. Yes, in a way. So we start with two. Yeah, and now we're going to see how can we apply this in composition through a technique that Felix Salzer called melodic prolongation. The study of counterpoint started with Joseph Fuchs a long time ago, but we are not going to. It's a really kind of old-fashioned book, and I mean, you're more than welcome to read it. Yes, actually, it's this one, the study of counterpoint, yeah, and you have the first appearance it was in 1725, yeah, but the language, yes, is a little bit too old-fashioned. Yeah, so we're going to combine. Just going to take the technique away from the book. Yeah. Although, yes, great composers studied with that. Bach, Beethoven, Mozart. So, they did pretty well with the book. But if you want to buy it, yes, the book is called The Study of Counterpoint from Johann Joseph Fuchs, Gradus a Parnassum. Yeah. Just saying. If you want to go to the source, this is the source. Yes. Although, to be fair, he didn't invent the speeches. They were already, he wrote the treatise. Yes, but the technique was already there. So, we're going to start with two-part counterpoint, or two melodies. This course in which two voices conduct each other independently, combined to form a coherent whole. Voice leading means that each voice organizes itself while combining with the other to form an intelligible musical fabric. We're going to see examples from it. Cantus firmus, remember that word, those two words, because they're extremely important, is one of the voices that participates in this musical fabric. Its primary function is what the name indicates, unchanged melody. So it's a given melody. Yes, a previous voice on which another voice is elaborated to perform the counterpoint. And actually, the counterpoint started like that. Remember the previous lessons in which we saw that a Latin text, a Gregorian chant, they added the voices on top. we have some character. The cantus firmus have some characteristics. Then, in free counterpoint, you can use whatever you want. Yeah. But at the beginning, to learn the technique, we're going to use cantus firmus. The voice that is created based on the cantus firmus, from now on CF, by the way, is called counterpoint. Throughout the species of the strict or pure counterpoint elements will be introduced from the simplest to the most complex, where the use of this musical fabric results from combining both voices, and its fundamental element is the harmonic intervals between them, because it's not just the intervals that they are melodic, but the intervals that they are harmonic, they're vertical. Every time the cantus firmus moves, the counterpoint must include consonant intervals as a result of a horizontal conception and not of vertical or harmonic thought. Now, upon the cantus firmus, the counterpoint, it will manifest in 5 different species. The first species, the first one we're going to see today, is not against the cantus firmus. Same rhythm, always. Second species, two notes against the cantus firmus. The third species, 4 notes against the cantus firmus. The fourth species is suspensions. It's a suspended note that clashes against the cantus firmus and then resolves. And the fifth species, where each of the above species will be, this entails the whole technique that we're going to see. Yeah? Bach, Haydn, Beethoven, Mozart, everyone, yes, knew this very well and used it. Yeah? Mastered it. Now, we're going to combine this study with another book, which is the Counterpoint Composition and the Study of the Voice Leading of Felix Salzer, because he applied that into some techniques that he himself, into some techniques that are called melodic prolongation and chord prolongation. Yeah, so it's very interesting because we already saw it in harmony, actually. The first piece of counterpoint, we're going to see the relation between these techniques of this Felix Salzer, yes, and the strict counterpoint, yes, which is the first piece. Okay, contrapuntal motions, unless you have doubts. Zero. Contrapuntal motions, well, you should, so we're going to do it very quickly, yeah? When two voices move note against note, we find different movements between them. These movements can be categorized in 4 types. Similar motion, yes. Oblique movement or motion, contrary motion, and parallel motion. Now, anyone doesn't know what I mean? Parallel motion, contrary motion, oblique motion, for example. It is oblique motion. Can you explain what oblique motion is?
When one voice is staying and the other moving.
The same way.
The same, yes, to the same intervallic distance, yes, because we have similar motion. Curious.
Move in the same direction, but not necessarily to the same interval.
Exactly. Yeah, and then we have the contrary motion in which the voices, again, curious because you're the last.
One goes up, one goes down.
Exactly. One voice goes ascending, one voice goes descending. Yes. The only thing is move descending and ascending. Yes. But you can move in different intervals. So, for example, let's say one voice can move for a step, ascending, and the other one moves a leap or a skip. So you don't have to move, yes, through the same distance. Yes. Now, the intervals that we are going to use, yes, but first a little bit of a classification of them. We classify the intervals used in this technique as consonants and dissonants. The nature, in general in counterpoint, yes, the nature of the consonant chord or intervals is stability, while the dissonants are unstable. Now, the perfect consonant intervals are unison, perfect octaves, and perfect fifths. At least the ones that they're considered in counterpoint. Yeah. Imperfect consonant intervals, major minor thirds, major minor sixths. Dynamic dissonant intervals, major minor seconds, major minor sevenths, and all augmented and diminished. Fourth. This is an exception. It is classified nowadays as neutral, yes. Although it is a perfect consonant in a melodic sense, vertically countable is considered to be dissonant. There's a reason why, actually. They intuitively, maybe, they try to avoid it. Perfect fourth. Anyone knows? We saw it in harmony.
Because of the overtone series?
It has always relation with that, yes, but it was a very specific topic, the fourth, the perfect fourth, with something that we saw in the book of Schoenberg, not long ago.
Second inversion.
The second inversion, exactly, because the bass and the soprano has a perfect fourth, and now we know why, through the book of Schoenberg, that, and like he said, there's a relationship between the overtones, yes, that they have an urgency to resolve. So it was not the perfect fourth. It's not that it was dissonant, but they tried to avoid it because intuitively, this is an assumption. There was something about the perfect fourth that they didn't like. Melodically it was fine, but harmonically they started to avoid it. So we're going to avoid it. So far in the first pieces we're going to use only perfect and imperfect consonants. Octaves, unisons, fifths, perfect fifths, major minor thirds, major minor sixths. That's it. Vertically. Yeah. Melodically, we're going to use perfect consonances, imperfect consonances, perfect fourths, and then the only interval melodic that we're going to use is major minor seconds, and that's it. No major minor sevenths, no augmented or diminished intervals, melodic, yeah. And if you use the sixth, use it as a climax. Don't overdo it. Yeah. Don't use 1/6 as a climax in the exercise. Melodic. Yeah. Objectional parallel to say. Which are the objectional parallels? You already know it. That's why we're not going to see it. Objectional parallels or forbidden intervals. Which are they? In harmony. Yes, Yuri.
Eighths, fifths.
Exactly. I mean, that's it. Yes. So no parallel octaves, no parallel fifths. Yes. You already know it from harmony. Yes. Now just you have two voices. Don't do that. Yes. Why was the reason why? Let me see if I remember. Now why we don't use parallel fifths, parallel octaves in a chorale between the voices.
The eighth is because it is as if we have eliminated one voice. It takes away the
independence.
yes.
Exactly. Fantastic. And the fifth, do you remember why?
No.
It's very similar because it's connected with the overtones. At least this, we saw this in Schoenberg. Is related to that because the fifth is a closed. Yes, to any note, it's fifth. Yes, in the overtone series, it's the third harmonic. You have the first harmonic is the actual note that we play. Second harmonic is one octave higher, octave per octave. And then the third one is the fifth. So, and then you have the double octave, the third, the fifth again, yes, the seventh, but then it goes. But those intervals of the bass note. So, if the independence is, we are looking at to be independent of the voices. Well, those two intervals, just the first, two overtones, are not the most suitable if we want independence. Very good. Elements of contrast between voices, because these, remember that the counterpoint are two interdependent melodic lines. Why I say interdependent? Because it's not that what happens with one has nothing to do with what happens with the other. No, actually, they have elements of contrast, but they have to have a connection between them. They have to stand by themselves if you play it separately, but they have to make a whole. Yes, that's the difficulty about counterpoint. Yeah. So the counterpoint has to achieve a degree of variety and independence concerning the canto symbols, connecting the consecutive sounds as smoothly as possible. The melodic climax in both voices has to achieve independently, independently, and proceed from here to the end. In other words, the entire melody is articulated without generating isolated moments or isolated notes without any correlation with the other. Yeah. Why I'm saying this? Because it's very usual that at the beginning in counterpoint you're obeying the rules. Okay, well this is a third, this is a sixth one. I don't have parallel octaves. I don't have parallel octaves. Fine. And the result is leaps with no connection. Yes, jumps, and there's no. They're isolated intervals. They don't have any connection whatsoever. Yes. So that's not the point of counterpoint. The idea is to create new melodic movements at all times. So basically no sequences and no repetition of intervals. There are no motifs. Yes, no repetitions. It's always something new. Each melodic climax must not match. Each line has to provide its unique peak. So both of the lines have to have their own climax in different times of the melody. Both voices cannot exceed 2 octaves between them in the vertical aspects, as they will be heard as separate and disconnected. Yes? Because we're talking about, imagine bass and soprano, bass and alto. Yes? So no more than two octaves. I would say 2 octaves is the absolute maximum. Yes? Suggested a compound fifth. Yeah? If not, they lose the connection. You have the feeling that one voice is playing in one place of the room and the other voice is in another place, completely disconnected. Yeah. Contrary movement is preferred above the rest of the contrapunct motions because it's the one that provides more an independent movement. Yes? Dependence between the voices. When a voice leaps or skips, is preferable, not mandatory, preferable, that the other one moves in step progression or vice versa. So they complement each other. That's why I said interdependent. Yes, because you can hear one, yeah, listen to one, and it's independent. You can listen to the other one, but we need some elements of connection and some elements of contrast. That's a good counterpoint. The elements of contrast is, for example, that each one provides some climax. But this, for example, the idea of, okay, if one skips, one leaps, yes, and this also contrary motion brings an element of unity, yeah. Any doubts? Okay. So, how is this connected to what we're going to do? I'm looking for something else. To the pieces that we are studying. Yes. See. No. Standings. Okay. The cantus firmus, I will give you myself some melodic lines, yes, because the cantus firmus is located in the upper voice. Sorry, the cantus firmus is a line that starts and ends on the same note, yes. It has certain characteristics, very, very stable, yes, upon which you're going to compose another line. Now the beginnings. When the cantus firmus is located on the upper voice, the accepted intervals are perfect fifth and octave or unison. So when you start, yes, when you start, the cantus firmus is in lower voice, you can start with octave, unison, or perfect fifth. Those are the three. The cantus firmus is located on the lower voice, just an octave on the unison is accepted, not a fifth. There's a reason why, not the fifth. If you start, let's say on C, yes, the lower voice, the cantus firmus, and start on the fifth, G. The G is naturally the fifth. C, the scale, yes. So harmonically works. Overtone series wise words. If you start with C, cantus firmus, and a perfect fifth below is an F, because you cannot do the dominant. We're not talking about dominant of the scale. There is G, but if you put the G below, it's a fourth. So now the F is a fifth. If we consider the F as part of the overtone series, it's 11th. 11th harmonic. Extremely far. So you don't connect with, you're not establishing any relation with the true tonic. Yes. You will think that you're in F major, let's say. I'm talking in modern yeah, speech. You will think you're not in C major, it's in F major. So that's why. So when the cantus firmus is in the upper voice, you start just with the unison or the octave. The endings, yes, the cadences. The cantus firmus elaborates a melody that starts and ends on the same note. The tonic, which is considered the ultimate restful function in a scale. Over the end, this voice makes a melodic cadence, not a harmonic cadence, because there are two pulses. Yes, so the harmonic cadence is hinted, let's say, that is formed by two sounds. The supertonic, or second degree, of the scale on the cantus firmus, on the cantus firmus, sorry, on the cantus firmus. So the supertonic going towards the tonic on the cantus firmus, towards the tonic. So cantus firmus is already given. Don't worry because you cannot change it. Supertonic going to the tonic. You have to end, no matter what, the leading tone, yes, and then the 7th degree and the tonic. That's the cadence, melodic cadence. Now we have an example of fast pieces here. So if you see the intervals 37, just in case you want to know. So this is a very good example of a cantus firmus, which is this one, the lower one, yes, and then the same cantus firmus on the upper voice, yes, but not the same cantus firmus. That's very simple. And there's a differentiation between the simple intervals and the compound intervals. Do you see any relation, any pattern of